Welcome, this is Roger at SwiftCloud, and in this very quick video I'm going to show you how to generate sales contracts using SwiftCloud for electronic signature using the Save a Copy method. It's very simple, and mostly I'm going to just be drawing your attention really where to look, frankly. So once you get logged into SwiftCloud, this is your main home events feed, and this will continue to become more and more interactive here. On the very top left, you see 3 dinner plates. Go ahead and click that. Click Drive. You'll get to your main Drive page. Now here, if you wanted to make a folder, you just go here to Add New, create a folder or a workroom. A workroom is simply a folder that is shared with other multiple people. This is a social network, just as a reminder, and a folder is simply an unshared workroom. So within that, I have a folder called Template Base, and what I could do is use this as the starting place for sales contracts. Now this is one of multiple methods to generate sales contracts on the fly. In this case, it's really best for if you had, say anywhere from 1 to 20 sales contracts per month, then this is a perfectly good method, especially if you have to actually negotiate some terms or if you're just changing only small portions of the contract, which is the case in this demonstration. Now, the very first thing you want to do once you get into the actual document is go to the far bottom, scroll way down here, and go Save a Copy. We'll call this John Doe Statement of Work, something like that. Right, so as you should watch our other videos if you aren't familiar with this yet, but basically in the pink box, that's really what happens to the person after they've signed. I just want to draw your attention to it, make sure that you have that defined. Like, do you want to show a confirmation message, or do you want it to go to some other URL or something like that? The blue box is really just for you. Who do you want to get notified? The beige box is really like sort of using your doc, and then all the extra options are in the gray box under advanced options. We do have a roles automation system that's typically used if you don't know who this additional party is, or in the case of if you wanted to set up full automation between, let's say, buyer and seller. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple, right? And in this case, I'm going to show you Mickey Mouse data, right? This is nothing personal to this client, so here we can go. I want to draw your attention to now in the document itself. So basically, you could just copy. Let's say you have this in a Microsoft Word format or something like that, whatever you've been using in the past. You want to just copy and paste that into SwiftCloud, and this is a pretty typical editor. Now, the way our system works, again, watch our videos if you haven't, is we've got short codes. So in this case, what we want is to make this assignable contract that looks something like this, where the client can then go down here and they can sign it, right? So they could go here, or they could also type their name, right? In this case, it doesn't know who my name is, but I could just type that in and then choose this, and it's just going to fill that into the space, right? So fairly straightforward, right? But this information up here is what needs to change dynamically based on that client. And we also have in here, buried in the contract, a purposely capitalized, sort of misnamed placeholder. And we've done that for one specific reason, and that's so we can go here, we just select what we need, we hit Control F, right? So when we hit Control F, again, Control F for find and replace. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for that, and then we're going to replace that with John Doe, let's say. And what we need to do is click Find. It's going to tell us, hey, we've got all these locations, right? Like, as you can see that they're selected. And if I hit Replace All, it's going to go ahead and replace every single one of those occurrences. So in this case, we've got lots of references to the client name, right? This would be like, Widgets Inc. or something, right? So if we wanted to replace that 20 times, then we could just simply do that there. So in this case, I'm not going to do it because I want to keep it as a placeholder, but that's literally all you got to do is just hit Control F and then hit Find, and then after that, and decide what you want to replace it with, right? John Doe can be spaces, or Widgets Inc., right? Whatever your client's company name is, you hit Find. It's not going to actually replace it at that time. Then you have an opportunity to click Replace All if you choose to. So I want to draw your attention to now one more thing, which is that we do have one requirement, and that's the email. We need to actually have the email captured with the signature. So it's not enough to just type that in. It has to be an input. But what I've done is I've made this look like read only. So read only, what that does is, now you can actually put read only on any field, anywhere in the document. And notice on the front end, it's not editable. It doesn't look like an input, right? It just looks like regular text. The way that I pre-fill it is you literally have to just type question mark, email, equals, and then your client's email. And then when they get that document, it's 100% ready to go. All they have to do is just go down here. They just have to sign it, hit sign and send, and that's it. It's done. You now have a fully legally binding agreement to contract, right? So in this case, if you wanted to send them to another document for setup, then you could certainly do that, and it will pass along the variable. So in this case, I have email as john@doe.com. Obviously, that's just junk testing data demonstration. But what'll happen is our system will pass along that parameter, and that's really useful so that if you had another contract that was, let's say, a setup doc that was similar to this, then as long as you have that identified in the pink box, right? So you just go down here to the pink box, and you just change it to another document, right? And in this case, you just have to select, let's say, statement of work. In that case, that's what the client wants next. So as soon as I sign that document, I'm going to get this email, right? And we can, of course, customize this, right? So you definitely want to customize that to your message. This is going to attach a signed PDF for whatever they just signed. And then, obviously, that's going to happen with the first one. So if you wanted to, presumably you want to send it, it's legally important that the person who signs has access to whatever it is that they signed, and that's going to happen within SwiftCloud. But we give you control over this, whether you want to give them login to your like SwiftCloud as a portal. That's one option, in which case they'll have it there, or if you want to give it to them a different way, then that's fine. We don't force you to give it to them. Just make sure that somehow legally that they could access it. Now, it does exist on our server for 7 years by default. If you have different policies for data retention, meaning due to HIPAA compliance or GDPR in Europe and that kind of thing, then by all means let us know. We may be able to work out your document expiration date, but by default everything stays on the server for 7 years. Anyway, that's it. That's really all you need to know. Is just really there's two things to know. Is just make the contract the way that you want it, and remember that Control F is for find and replace, right? And so you could set yourself up basically a template on your drive, and then what you do is you just go down here. So once you're done with that, then you don't want to edit this one. What you want to do is go down here to the far bottom. Sorry, I kind of missed a step. I should have put this in the beginning. But really, before we do anything, really the very first thing we should do is save a copy. You just hit save a copy, and it's going to ask, and we're just call it John Doe contract, statement of work, or right, like something like that, SOW, statement of work. So just hit save, and what it's going to do is it's going to make an identical copy of whatever this document is. And I really should have covered that at the beginning, but basically before you start editing and before you do find and replace, you want to first make a copy, then you run the find and replace on everything, and then add the URL. And that's it. You're done. It's 100% ready to use. Hope that helps. Again, this is just one method of several to generate contracts within SwiftCloud. And for more information about the other methods, we'll have other videos and check our support system. Thanks.